Welcome everyone to week 3 of our VODCAST. It is so good to have you. Thanks for coming back. We got some awesome things planned for today. But before we do that, I think we should do a recap, Maddie.
Yeah.
What happened last week?
So last week we had Josh and Pacey on.
Yeah.
We talked creativity.
Yep.
Everyone's a creative.
It's true.
Whether you're a business person or an artist, you can find your creative talent in everything. We also had a rap battle about Crocs.
That was rowdy.
And what got rowdy. And we also learnt how to milk a cow.
It's true. It's true. My dairy life will never be the same. But now we've got some special news. You've probably noticed we still don't, or at least as of last week, we didn't have a name for this vodcast.
No.
But we've heard the cries of all the people. Our inbox was flooded with suggestions. Thank you for those of you that suggested names. We have gone with none of them, so thank you. Because we got something better. I think we should have a drum roll.
Okay.
I think we should, yeah.
Do you have a drum?
Nah. We'll edit in a drum roll. Young Adults Unleashed.
Yeah.
You know what? Next week I think we'll dive into a little bit more what that means, and you know we'll unpack it a bit more. What do we have planned for today?
Tonight we have something really exciting, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
We have a guest. It's a woman, and she's one of my favorite people.
Oh yeah.
She has been a part of our church now for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that I don't actually know, but I'm going to stick with a year and a half.
We can check with her later.
And we're going to do something that we've never done before in our whole three episodes.
I've
We've
never done it in my
this.
life.
So what we're going to do, it is kind of pronounced mukbang, muki,
Bang.
bangi.
Mukbang or mukbang is an online audio-visual broadcast in which a host consumes food while interacting with an audience.
So we're going to do a mukbang with our guest. It's going to be good. We have some awesome food. It's going to be great.
Awesome.
So should we welcome her up?
Yeah, let's bring her up.
All right, on 3, ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Welcome!
Chynna Taylor.
It is so good to have you
Thanks for
here.
inviting me. I'm so
Welcome
excited.
to our mukbang.
I'm so excited. I
Mukbang.
always wanted to do one of these. Always.
Here we are.
Same.
But I always found it, I didn't want to do it by myself because I've seen people on YouTube do
That is so depressing.
And it's a
YouTube.
little bit sad to have that
On
much
YouTube.
food. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it kind of shows you're rich.
Oh.
No?
Western world food wastage is a sad thing.
That's for another podcast.
That's for week 4.
Yeah. Yeah, tune in next week.
So,
I think Chynna should take us through what we have.
yeah,
here.
China
Oh,
have
please.
here.
I would love to. So, okay, first of all, we got Kentucky Fried Chicken, French fries, or hot chips. What country, whatever country you're from.
We're
Then
from
we-
Australia.
Okay, Australia, so hot chips. Then we have McDonald's chicken nuggets,
Yeah.
which are the source of life besides
Yes.
Jesus.
It's
100%.
100%
Yeah.
nuggets.
Do you know I have a chicken nugget tattoo?
No.
No.
I'm going to show you right now.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, Pastor Joel designed it for me. What leg is it on?
Uh-oh. This is getting... I didn't know we were going to go here so quick.
Hey.
Ooh,
Okay,
tattoo
young
review.
adults.
It's a
Live
nugget.
in the
Is
unleashed
it dipped in the sauce?
Yeah.
Shut up.
It's chilling in the sun.
Oh my gosh.
Pastor Joel, you're going to shout.
Look.
And I got it in Bali, but it was an Australian
That's
barley in
a
Bali.
little sketchy, but it's okay. It still looks good.
Didn't
It looks
get
legit.
affected.
It looks like a McDonald's
So they are the source of life. You are correct.
The
sweet and sour
source
sauce,
of
which
life.
I didn't tell y'all, but this is, besides honey mustard, which y'all don't carry here, or ranch, this is my favorite.
Yeah.
Nuggies.
If you
sauce.
dip it in tomato sauce or barbecue sauce, I kind of don't like it.
Guys,
So-
I'm on big
I'm
on
gonna
barbecue.
go there. I think sweet and sour sauce is a little overrated.
Ooh, what?
That's just my
Look,
opinion.
I had to go there when I moved here because y'all don't have ranch here. Y'all don't have good
We
ranch.
have
I'll take
Australian-
ranch over sweet and sour any day.
I would too, but not y'all's ranch. Y'all's ranch
Y'all's
tastes like
ranch sucks.
mayo, and it's just weird.
You were born here.
Y'all's ranch.
He just wants to be part of the team.
I can't get around it, you know?
And then
Your
we have
ranch
Y'all's
sucks.
pepperoni pizza. I'm a classic girl. I like one topping pizza, but not just cheese. Just pepperoni.
So that's
Don't
cheap.
get crazy. It took me about 5 years of someone begging me to put pineapple on pizza and for me to eat it. And that was a
Whoops.
hard road.
Yeah.
Well, I was married at the time, and my husband loved ham and pineapple pizza, which is very Australian. And we used to get into like marital battles that there's no pineapple on the pizza because it makes it soggy.
Yes.
Americans don't know how to put pineapple on pizza.
I respect that.
So it was like a wet pizza, and it would ruin my life, and we would have many altercations.
What's your stance?
On pineapple?
Yeah.
On pizza? I love it.
Okay.
So
See,
my thing is, sure,
a
okay,
solid
it
five,
might
maybe
might
six.
add a bit of, you know, what was the word? Sogginess to it.
Sog.
Sog.
Not here. Y'all know. Y'all drain it. So y'all know. So
Y'all
Americans just
already
take it
heard.
from the can.
Y'all
You heard?
shouldn't have to drain the pizza.
Y'all ranch.
So pepperoni pizza.
But my thought is, sorry, because I need to get this out there. I need to get this out there. Pineapple, like, just it gives that burst of freshness when you take that bite. You know, I think it just adds another tier to the experience of pizza eating.
Yeah, but Australians love Thai chicken pad Thai.
Yum.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Then we have. I've never tried these. They've surprised me. They're called.
What?
They're like a chicken wing. Wiki.
It's a wicka
They're like
wing.
Do you see them? They look
Ralph had a
crunchy.
full Red Bull before
They look
this, guys.
so crunchtastic. I've had 3 coffees, not right before, but like throughout the day.
Nice.
And then obviously another set of hot chips, French fries, and we're ready.
We're so ready.
And
Ready
to
for
drink.
this. Oh, and to drink the most expensive water known to mankind. Voss.
Vos.
Cool. Alright, I'm gonna dig in.
cautious.
I don't know what you guys are waiting for.
So,
I just spilled that all in my
Yeah.
lap. That's
Nice.
great. Cool. All right, I'm going to go straight for pizza.
Take the whole
because
thing. I
I'm
dare you
gonna
to eat
take
the whole pizza.
oh girl, that's not even like a bet. That's a
Do
tiny
it.
pizza. Well, I'm gonna share.
You can do the whole pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I want some pizza.
So, Chynna, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, Chynna is my real name.
China, 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 China.
It is not like a
Can you
fake name
spell
or a
it for us?
pseudonym. CHYNNA.
Fancy.
And then my last name. My name used to be like really complicated, but now my married last name's like easy. It's Taylor.
What was
Wait.
your before married name?
Carrion. It's Mexican.
Can you spell it?
Gadion.
CHRRION.
So you're Mexican?
I'm half
How?
Hispanic.
Hispanic.
I'm from South Texas, which
Texas.
everyone there is that.
So
You know what I love about Texas?
have you
Y'all's
ever-
ranch.
Texas. We have the best ranch. No, see, y'all don't understand.
They don't know.
Y'all don't know.
What was that?
Ranch is so good. Like, we have the best ranch. Wait, hold on. Gone.
So you're obviously from America.
Yes.
But your accent,
I'm from Texas.
Texas.
Your
It's a good
French.
Texas accent.
Hmm.
I'm from Atlanta. Is that better? I don't know.
Is that better? A little bit. Your vowels are funny, but you know, it's okay.
That's okay.
It's
You're
okay.
funny too.
Whenever I do an Aussie accent, my vowels are funny.
Can you try?
I can do some things, but it's hard.
Well, give us your best phrase.
Oh no, I don't know. I'm nervous and I'm gonna mess
We
it
can
up.
come back to it.
I'm eating right now. But my dad was in the Navy, and then he retired in South Texas. So Corpus Christi, Texas, is where I went to high school, and then I went to university or college there because
What did you study at college?
biomedical science.
What?
So I'm one of you.
Hello. One of me.
Yeah, which is basically a fancy word for like pre-med. I wanted to be a singer since I was like could crawl probably. And my whole family's very musical. And it was actually the opposite. Like my mom would be like, "Why are you going to school for biomedical science? Like you're supposed to be a singer." Like it was funny because I was encouraged like the opposite way of what a lot of people are. But I just wanted to have something to fall back on because, well, this got deep real quick. But I just didn't trust that could happen for me, or that I wanted to have a backup plan. But God doesn't work on backup plans, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So,
No.
and I wanted to be like a cardiothoracic surgeon, so I needed to like
Dang.
really have like a deep passion, and I didn't.
Yeah. for
And
sure.
so as the years went on, that passion like died, and then I was also getting pulled in other directions to do music, so my grades started to suffer, and I was having to like make choices on like do this or do that. So I ended up choosing obviously music. So I grew up and I actually got prophesied over. Well, all of us girls got prophesied at different times for ministry.
Wow.
But as you know, life and things happen, and you see certain disappointments as like, okay, well, I guess that prophecy was wrong, you know, because you're God's taking you on a journey to trust Him, and you can make it harder for yourself, you know, like so yeah, I felt like my whole 20s was like, if I could put it in an image, I felt like I was like in fetal position on the ground being kicked.
Wow.
That's what I felt like my 20s. Like I just felt like discouraged and like a loser and like a failure, and just like I feel like as soon as I got up, I'd just be back down on the floor. Like I just felt really beat up. But that was a process that I think I probably made it a little bit harder on myself because I was really stubborn. But definitely, but I had to go through it to learn a lot of things. And so we were in Nashville, and we had left our old church and gone to Nashville with this amazing opportunity that had happened. So basically, we got the opportunity after our season with the church had ended. God had closed that door. That door opened, so we were like, oh, I guess we're supposed to go there. So we went, and it all happened really fast. Like, we were signed within 6 months to Capitol Records. Like, we were writing with, like, amazing people. We were just kind of thrown into the thick of it. And I think I was 21 or 22, very early married, still going to school full time. Like, it was actual madness. Like, only a crazy person or a really headstrong 21, 22-year-old would have thought that they could accomplish everything like I thought I could. But you have a breaking point, and God doesn't work with backup plans. You don't do that. So, but I think my whole journey, like my whole everything has just like been a culmination of learning things, so that in the season that I feel like He's bringing me into, I'm going to be ready like I wouldn't have been at 20. I don't think, so 10 years I felt really kicked in the teeth and like a massive loser. Felt like a huge failure. It was like I would get an opportunity and then like nothing would come of it. We were signed, and then we got sued by our manager, and we lost our record deal, and then we had no money. And you know, you go through all these things in life, and you think to yourself like, but I thought, God, that you said, like I thought you gave me this promise. But you have to learn to have more than a superficial trust in God. And you have to go through things to actually trust Him. It's just like a relationship. But I definitely think I made it hard on myself. For sure.
You touched on then, like, you were married when you were young.
Yeah.
What's your husband do?
My husband is in the Australian Navy, which is why I'm here.
So he is like fully Australian.
He's fully Australian. Yeah. He was born in Coolungup, Perth.
Sounds Australian.
I said that right. I don't even know how to spell it. But yeah, so he's from Melbourne though. He grew up in Melbourne, so his dad was in the Navy too. So he was over there on a exchange posting. So he was working for the U.S. Coast Guard as an exchange pilot with the Australian Navy. So they sent 7 of them over, and he got Corpus Christi, Texas, and then we met at church.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. So it was a random, definitely like God moment that we even met and had anything to do with each other, because I didn't live in the military world. And so I met him, we dated for like 2-3 years, got engaged, got married. So we were gonna have our 10-year wedding anniversary this September.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like you guys would have to be killing the game in the long distance kind of area.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. What's it like doing marriage long distance, not just relationship long distance?
It's funny because everyone's like, you know, I bet you have great like long distance communication. I'm like, well, when he's out to sea, there is no communication.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand that. When he goes away, it's not for 3 or 4 weeks. That's like nothing. That's like him prepping, doing a course.
Yeah.
He goes away for like 6 months at a time.
Dang.
The longest one we ever did was 7.5 month long stint, but that full year was 10.5 months out of 12 months. So you think about it, there's like, you don't spend time together. There was no communication on that particular deployment. We could do emails about every 3 days, but there wasn't good internet. There's no FaceTime. There's no texting. So it is like something you have to kind of like take as it comes. I think it's always good to have a good support system around you, but also to have things to, I don't want to say keep you busy, but have your own aspirations, things that you want to develop. You cannot be just obsessed in your relationship. You have to have more than that. It has to be bigger. Like
you need to be like kind of self-sufficient.
Yeah, and it's a weird, because it is a transition when they come back. Like I'm not gonna lie, like when he comes back and we integrate to actually being back together, it is like a bit of a struggle for 3 or 4 weeks, because you go through this.
It's like you have a routine.
Yeah.
And now that.
Yeah, and you get used to them not being there, and then you get used to them being there, and then they go away again, or something like that. But you just navigate it, and I think that for the first time in like 12 or 13 years, I've tried to do this one with like God included.
Yeah.
Hey God. We're just gonna, because a lot of, I always thought, I was strong and self-sufficient, and you can kind of, yeah, of course, but it's been different having like kind of like me and not excluding God out of this, the last 2.5 years, because the last 2.5 years has been away a lot. So yeah, I mean, we've done it since day dot, like since I met him at 18. It's been a long distance relationship. I think you just have to have, I was never looking for love or a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just happened. But I think that's probably why it worked to date, was because we had our own stuff going on. Yeah.
And you respected both of them.
Yeah. Well, his job's important, and it's serious and it's dangerous, and so I have to respect, when he goes to work, like his mind needs to be right. So there's a lot of things that you have to be unselfish about. Like you can't, get into a quarrel. A quarrel?
Yeah.
What? Whoa! Oh, this is a quarrel, Elizabethan. But you can get into like an argument, and then like they get into like the helicopter. Like you need to like, sometimes you just have to bite your tongue. It's taught me a lot about not running my mouth, which is a very natural thing for me to do. But like, look, the Lord wrangled that out of me. Look, because I used to be a
That's what he does.
runner, like catty. Ooh, man, there is life and death in the tongue. There's more death than mine. But look, the Lord will work things out, one way or the other. He'll wrestle you.
It's a process.
That's wrestling in Southern.
Yeah.
Wrestle. Sorry.
How do you spell that?
Wrestle. WRASTLE. Wow.
T.
Wrestle.
Rastel.
Yeah, like wrestle, but wrestle.
I like it.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Picking up what I'm putting down, you picking it up?
So I did, sorry, just before we leave the long distance thing. Please eat.
No, what eating?
Can I just have the
Pad Thai?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had pad thai.
Shut up.
Wait,
I think I've like maybe tried it off of friends.
Give us some wings.
Friends.
I haven't even tried the wings.
Whatever.
Wings are good. Can I have
A
some
friend's
plates?
plates, but I've never had it.
No.
Please?
What are you talking about?
Thank you. What was I saying? Yeah, so I was in a long distance relationship for about 2 years. And that definitely wasn't easy to do the long distance part. The relationship was awesome. But I guess one thing I found real helpful was having people that could speak into it and give advice, especially people that had done the long distance thing. So I was just going to ask if you had any, I guess, pointers or tips for anyone that is doing long distance right now, or will potentially do it?
Know from the get-go what you're getting into, so that there's not a, like, Jordan was very clear when we started dating that he was in the Navy, he would eventually go back to Australia, so be very honest and upfront in the beginning that it's going to be long distance, or this is your reality. I would say too, don't be selfish. You both have to put the other person first, and then you're both first, but you're not being selfish. And that means, like, sometimes you just gotta let stuff go. You just gotta let it, if you're mad, if you're feeling a little bit of distrust, mainly in the beginning, because in the beginning of a relationship, it's very emotional, like heightened emotion. You know what I mean? Like, you're falling in love and everything's just so extravagant, and you can really get ahead of yourself and, like, maybe get jealous or feel ripped off that they're hanging out with other people maybe, or they get to spend time with other people more than you. You really just have to, you have to choose to be in control of how you respond to things.
Yeah.
It's not a walk in the park. Like, I can sit here and say that, yes, I've accomplished and done all of these things, but is it easy? Is it always fun? No. Sometimes it's really hard to, like, let something go, or to choose not to say something because, like, to really be a grown-up and, like, look at what you're thinking and see if it's actually, like, real, or if it's just, like, an emotional response to something. I would say surround yourself with people that you want to be like. What kind of character do you want? Do you want to be dramatic? No. Like, you got to think to yourself, like, if you're going to surround yourself, like, I could have surrounded myself with girls who really were like, well, I can't believe this, and that fed into that. But instead, I have great sisters that are very godly women. My mom was a military wife, and I always had maturity around me, and that helped. I've also not been a very, when I say I'm not a dramatic girl, I'm very dramatic, but, like, I'm not, like, I don't like the gossip drama kind of girl things that come along with that. I always chose to not involve myself with it. It's a downward spiral, and there's cattiness, and it doesn't wear on anyone. But yeah, so I'd say, well, what was that, 2? Well, I expounded on 2.
Wrestle.
Wrestle, I gotta let's wrestle back in. Okay, and then number 3, I would say, work on yourself when they're gone. It is a great way to better who you are. And that can go, like, spiritually, developing your craft, focusing on school, getting fit. I always say to people, I get really fit when Jordan goes away. Really fit. But because I'll set, like, some fitness goals, like, what?
Sorry.
I'll set some, like, I'll set some fitness goals that, like, just exhaust me by the end of the night, so that if I am having a lonelier night, because I do feel lonely, like, it would be crazy for me to say that I just go 7.5 months and I, like, love being at home by myself every time at dinner, especially in the winter when it's dark at, like, 3:30 in the afternoon. It's lonely. It's dark and it's quiet, and I don't deal well with quiet. Like, you know what I mean? So, self-development, I would say, would be key number 3. Just give yourself some good activities that are positive, like exercise, learn an instrument, learn how to graphic design, build a website, do something random you've always wanted to do but never had time. Now you have plenty of time. You have all the time in the world to eat pizza and do mukbangs. So
true. Yeah. Before we move on, I have a game I'm gonna play with you guys. So we're gonna play a game. It's called the Whisper Challenge.
Hello.
As you can see, we all have some headphones. I'm gonna start. Manuel, may I have our sayings, please? Thank you, Manuel. Marcel, Mosquito.
Is he from Mexico?
Manuel.
So I'm gonna pick out a saying. I'm gonna say it to Chynna. She has to guess what I'm saying.
Because she can't hear you.
Yeah, but she can't hear me because she's playing.
Music car, por favor.
What are you playing? Nice. That's good.
So then she has to relate to Mark while Mark's listening to music. And then Mark would try and say it out loud.
Do I take off my headphones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once you think you've got it,
Okay.
then you can
Are you actually audibly going to be saying it?
Yeah.
Or are you mouthing it? Okay.
But I think I don't know. I don't know. We have
No, you have to say it so the camera can hear.
Okay.
True.
So true.
Thank
Thank you so much for that.
Okay, you ready?
Wait.
Alright, yeah, music on. Can you hear me?
A little bit. Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. I threw a walrus at your grandmother. You can't look. Yeah.
I threw
a
a walrus
at your grandmother.
down.
One more time. I threw a walrus at your grandmother.
Sorry, can I hear it again?
Jam a little bit.
Can you hear me?
So dumb.
I threw a walrus. I threw a walrus down the grapevine.
One more time.
I threw a walrus down the grapevine.
Okay, you have to guess what it is. Okay, what do you think it was?
I don't know what.
I heard. I read.
Okay.
Lip read.
Okay.
I threw a walrus down the drain.
And what did you hear?
I threw a walrus, and then down the grapevine was what I got for your lips, but
I threw a walrus at your grandmother.
at your grandmother.
I saw your mailman toss your mail in the can.
What?
Again? I saw your mailman
I saw you with Ben
toss your mail in the can.
talking. Say it one more time. I saw
your
you
mailman toss your
talking
mail
about
in the can.
the good times. Okay.
Wow.
I saw you talking with Ben about the good times.
2 more times.
I saw you talking with Ben. I saw you talking with Ben about the good times.
I saw you focusing around the bin a few times.
So close to what I said.
I said, I saw you talking with Ben about the good times. Something like that.
Shama lama ding dong.
What?
Shama lama ding dong.
What?
Shama lama ding dong.
Tramalama ding dong. Tramalama ding dong. Tramalama ding dong. Tramalama ding dong. Tramalama ding dong.
One more time.
Tramalama.
Drop it like it's
ding dong.
ding dong.
I don't even know what you said. I just saw you like
It's
tramalama
fine.
ding dong.
Drop it like a ding dong.
Mine was Shamalama Ding Dong.
Oh,
You
okay,
actually had
close.
Whoa!
What was yours?
Shamalama ding dong.
Drop it like a ding dong.
Yours was drop like oh god, that's funny. Shoot. I was like, I don't know what you're saying.
I wanted to ask you, Chynna, about, because you mentioned your relationship with church, and you mentioned that God kind of closed that door in America, but now in Australia, you're here, you're part of our church family, we love having you a part of it. If you're open to maybe sharing a bit of that experience and...
Yeah. Well, I grew up at a church in South Texas. We moved there and we kind of got to the church when it was just kind of starting out in like a middle school building. And it was awesome because it was like, there was a real move of God happening. It was growing really fast. So I spent all of my youth days there. And then I was like, a volunteer worker. And then I got pulled on part-time staff, and then eventually like full-time staff, and always part of the band and stuff. So throughout the years, and it just kind of came to a pretty abrupt end, and I would say that I got fairly wounded. Where I think there's a difference between like kind of being offended and then being like wounded by a church ministry. And now God has he's really restored all of that and took me on a walk of like forgiveness and things like that. And a lot of things that I think, would I ask for them again? No, but I'm thankful for them now. Like as Paul would say, I rejoice in my suffering because it builds my character. So now in retrospect, I'm like, man, if I wouldn't have gone through all of these trials in my 20s, I kind of wouldn't be the person that I am now. Would I ever ask for them again? 100% not. Like if God would have written out a list of the things that I'd have to go through and kind of walk through, I would have been like, let's not. But I think, and this is what I found a scripture today, and I feel like this is me to a T. So I'm going to read the scripture. And I don't know if any other young person ever feels like this, but it's Isaiah 48:4. For I know how stubborn and obstinate you are. Your necks are as unbending as iron. Your heads are as hard as bronze.
Wow.
That was me. I think that God, obstinate, the definition of it actually really gets me. Stubbornly refusing to change one opinion or chosen course of action despite attempts to persuade one to do so.
Wow.
So I think that, like with the Israelites, they had to be continuously disciplined because they were so hard-headed.
Yeah.
And I think that God gives us certain characteristics, and He wants to use them for His glory, for His kingdom. But it's kind of like with the Israelites, He had to keep disciplining them, and then there was like a fewer and fewer remnant of the Israelites. It was like the holy of holies of like the Israelites. So I kind of feel like with parts of my character, it's not necessarily bad to be hard-headed or stubborn. It can be a good quality when refined. But it was a very bad quality to have because I wanted to be in control. I think at the time I wouldn't have put it this blunt, but I thought I could do things better than God. Because you're young and you just think you feel invincible and you think you have it under control, or maybe sometimes you don't think you have it under control, but it scares you to kind of trust something
and sometimes
else.
it's with good intention.
Like exactly.
Majority of the time it's like we think we're like we know what we're doing and we could do better than someone else, and we don't put it as where it's like we're not being prideful, we're being really humble by saying that because it's in good intention. But really, it's just like no way.
I like the idea that like you mentioned it, like stubbornness, refined and redeemed can become conviction. Stubbornness in the right setting is good.
And you
like
can stand for your conviction and not be wavered by what other people are saying or something. But just to be with a neck of iron. And a hard head. Whereas, God, consistently with the Israelites tried to tell them not to do that or to change their course of action, and they would just not listen. And that really speaks to me because that was a lot of me in my 20s. Like, I don't think I thought it at the time, but when I would go through something hard, sometimes I would just alienate God. Like, I'd just be like, okay, I'll just get through this and then I'll be back. Or I wouldn't include him. And I think with things that God takes you through, I think one of the main things I wanted to say today was don't rush the process. You need the process because God gives you all of these character qualities, and he'll never waste a wound. He'll never waste, and whether that was like a wound that was unfair or maybe something self-inflicted, which are two different things, he'll never waste that. He'll always somehow use it in the process to get you prepared and get your character just developed, He has to kind of, with me, he had to really discipline me, I guess, because I had a control issue. I was always very ambitious. I was kind of a workaholic, and I relied a lot on my talent getting me through a lot of stuff, and then I had that taken away quite a few times. Where either my voice was injured, or I lost my record deal, or didn't have any opportunities, moved to a different country, where I've had to really lay that down. And I needed to, because there was a time where I didn't know who I was if I wasn't singing. That was my identity, but that's not who I am. And that's not why God loves me. And for a while, my whole identity was wrapped up with being a singer, and that when I failed at that, I just felt like an absolute loser. And it's dangerous to get wrapped up in anything like that, because it becomes your idol. And my voice and my music, my voice more than anything was my idol. It was my crutch. I didn't have an identity beyond Chynna the singer. And and maybe it was skewed because it was used a lot. Like, I was used a lot for my voice, for singing, but now it's like, this is going to come out the wrong way, but I just don't care. I remember it was something my husband said, and it really changed what I thought. He was just like, I don't love you because you sing. I love you because you're you. And I feel like God's really used him in my life to ground me. That it's not about all the things that I thought people valued me for. And I really felt like people only liked me because of what I had to offer, not just for me. So it's just this whole, I felt like for 12 years, I've just gone on this, I'm still on the journey, but I feel like I can do a lot more of a graceful job with doing it with God in every move, not just in some moves, because I feel like I would only, there would be seasons in my life where God was a really prominent part, and then other seasons where I just maybe in the back of my mind was like, oh, I'm just gonna get through this. I just need to get, or God, I don't have time to be a giving, generous person and get this done. It can, and so you exclude him, and sometimes you don't even mean to. You just put him on the back burner. And it's such an easy thing to do, then we forget that it's so, not that it's so much easier, but you can go through the same hard things. I'm still going through difficult things now, and hard things, and struggles, but I'm just have so much more peace. And I can rest. I remember there would be, years of my life where I felt like I didn't sleep for, years. My whole lawsuit, I just felt like I was afraid to check my email. I didn't want to look at my phone. I lived in fear, and it was a really difficult time. Being sued is nothing else, and then being in debt is a really heavy burden. And when you walk through it, it was easier when I invited God back in. But I was hard-headed for 14 to 18 months. I was, but God, he'll never waste anything in the process. He'll never waste it. It always comes back around somehow and gets used for good, which is the craziest part, I think, of his character is how I don't know how he can bring back some of our mistakes and use them for his glory. Like it's madness.
Yeah.
Like if there was if there's one thing I could go off of, like that's my belief in God, is how he intertwines your life together to matter, like each part to matter, and all the really bad, ugly parts that you would prefer for no one to know about them, or to let's just forget about 2012 to 2016. Let's just wipe that away. But God can use it. He can really use it if you include him in the journey. He wants you to know he can make it more pleasant. You can you can literally be going through the same exact circumstance and have like this crazy joy. And that's exactly what happened in the lawsuit. I remember it was a really hard 14 months, and then I was just so exhausted that I surrendered to God. And then it was like, you would have thought there was no lawsuit. How he kind of filled me with like joy and peace, and he worked everything out. So I was still in it. Like the lawsuit wasn't finalized for probably another 9 months. But it was so much more bearable.
You touched on it before, and I think like young adults in general, that's one of the biggest things they struggle with was, do I pursue a career and leave God on the back burner? Or like it's about, they don't know how to balance it. If I'm sold out to God and to the mission of God and being the hands and feet of Jesus, or do I pursue this dream that I've always had? And I feel like they don't, it's hard to balance it. They don't know how
reconcile.
Because it's either like, this is not you, but I want to be this amazing musician and singer and be like the next
Chynna Taylor,
Demi Lovato or something, like someone really big, and they start off being like, thank you God for these awesome opportunities, but slowly God starts to get pushed to the back. And I just feel like, I don't know, maybe you touched on it a little bit before, but maybe if you can expand like how to bring God into everything we're doing and letting him actually like make a way for our dreams to come true in a sense. Does that make sense?
I had to learn that, because that wasn't something that I always did. It's empty without him. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. It is like the most empty.
Does it say it's empty?
It is
without him?
not, you don't feel fulfilled. Like,
sorry. Thanks, guys.
Nice.
We'll cut that out.
No, we won't.
I feel like it's I've done it with him on the back burner probably two, three times, give or take. And I would say it's empty. You can get really close. You can get the record deal, and I actually remember the day we had this really big showcase, and this was pivotal in my life. I was 24. I think it was 2014. It was April 3rd.
Wow.
And we had this.
It was like, and the weather was great.
The weather was great.
The sun was shining.
Birds were chirping.
Birds were chirping. I think
husbands were hugging their wives. Like,
Yeah,
it was just-
No traffic on the road.
Well, we had this really big showcase, so we wrote for like 18 months, and finally got down to 5 songs that the label really liked. So we were on what they call a development deal, where you are basically on a probationary period before you get like a full record contract, where they kind of like, it's like a 90-day job trial or a 60-day, but for like 18 months, it was forever. But we needed it. So we just wrote, like, we would write like 3 or 4 times a day, and it was so exhausting. And I remember leaving Rights and being like, I don't have anything else to write about. I'm like, I'm fried. But we finally got these 5 songs. We did this big, huge showcase, and the CEO came up to us and was like, congratulations, we want to offer you a full record contract. And that's just how it happened. Like, it was like a 5-year, 3-album, potential Christmas, something like that. And it was at like where everyone was having like nibblies after you performed. We got offered, and I remember it being so anticlimactic. It was just the biggest low I've ever felt in my life.
Wow.
Like
That's a big deal.
it was. You
Yeah.
would have thought you would have been elated,
Yeah.
but God wasn't in it. And it was
Wow.
empty. And I just remember we got back to the hotel and like obviously like one of our assistant managers who's an amazing guy, Tom English, he popped a bottle of champagne and we had a drink with our band, and I just like Lauren and I like it was like the biggest low of our life. Like I felt like I have never felt lower. Like I just felt like, is it because we just had a really high like gig and so you're coming down? But it was because we had fulfilled a lifelong dream without God.
Wow.
And so you can do it, but it will be empty and you won't feel fulfilled. And you can store up that treasure on earth as much as you want. And I'm grateful that God has always kept a peace out of reach for me. Because that was always my prayer as a teenager. You know, you pray these big prayers when you're a teenager. You're like, God, use me, you know, develop my character, cleanse my heart and all this stuff. And he remembers that and he reminds you, like when you get off track. He delivers. He's like, don't pray prayers and you don't want to answer because he answers.
Dangerous prayers.
Yeah, they really are. Like you pray all these big prayers and you do mean them, and then you leave him out of stuff. And you can go after a dream, be a big deal singer, you know, win accolades, what have you. But I can guarantee you, those people who get those things and they don't have Jesus, it is sad. It feels as empty as it might look. They might look like they have stuff. What is stuff on earth? Like that's what I'm kind of getting. Like, my mind has been going there a lot. I don't want to build up my treasures here because they don't last.
True.
I don't want to get in front of God at the end of my life and him be like, I don't know who you are.
Wow.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Because I didn't spend any time with him. Because I didn't do anything for him. Like, it scares me. And I don't know if that's age or just like everything that I've gone through, or I don't know. You can do it without him. But just take it from me, it sucks. It just sucks. Like, I remember we cried. And you would have thought that would have been the best day of our life. We finally got a record contract with Capitol Records, Nashville. Like, that's no small thing. And then we lost it almost as quick as we got it. Because there was a big merger and Universal bought out Capitol, and we hadn't completed our record contract. We were in negotiations, and we were in that really bad lawsuit with our manager, which was for nothing. Everyone asked me, like, what was it for? And I'm like, it was literally like for nothing.
Wow.
Just people trying to ruin each other's lives. It was just, it just sucks. Like, you can do it without him, but it is hard and unfulfilling, and you feel, well, you have a void.
Yeah.
Because only that's the most cliche thing I'm ever going to say, but it's true. Only Jesus can fill up those spaces in your heart. Only you can try to fill it up.
Wow.
But it decays. It just like it erodes, and you still have the space, but it actually gets bigger when you fill it up with earthly things like this. And it's so cheesy, but I don't have anything spectacular. Spectacular? Yeah, spectacular. Going spectacular.
Spectacular?
No. No. I don't have anything like flash going on in my career right now.
Yeah.
And this is the most fulfilled I've been in years.
Wow.
Because my heart is kingdom focused at the moment. I don't even care what it brings me. I don't want it to bring me anything. I don't want people. If I can get across anything right now, it's don't make it harder on yourself like I did. I mean, God doesn't waste it, and it was all meant for something, and I needed to go on that journey, but you don't necessarily have to. You could just trust him. You could just trust him. He's good. He wants to give you the desires of your heart. But you also need to be able to have a strong enough character to handle some of these things, because life is tricky, and it's not really a juggle. You can go after it, you can get it, but you're gonna feel empty. You might think that you're having a good time sometimes. You might be like, this is so fun. You're gonna wake up the next morning and be like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
It always happens. It always happens.
And I feel like, I mean, I think that's really the whole point of this, of hearing other people's stories. It's a chance to learn from other people's journeys and a chance to learn from their mistakes. Like, you don't have to make the mistake yourself to learn the lesson.
Right.
Like, you can learn it from other people. And sometimes you do need to learn it the hard way. But I feel like even just with the iron neck and the stubbornness of the Israelites, I feel like every time I read through any stories of the Israelites, I get frustrated. I'm like, guys, it's not that hard. Like, just trust God. And then I feel like God's just like, that's you in the story. Like, you're not the hero in the story. You're the stubborn, crappy Israelites. And I just get reminded of that, and then a little convicted. I'm very convicted, actually. But I feel like one thought I've had lately is kind of like, you've got passages like James 1, where it tells us that God gives good gifts. And then passages like Romans chapter 8, where it tells us that God uses all things for our good. So I feel like whether, if it comes to us and it's good, it's a gift from God. If it comes to us and it's not, God's going to use it for our good anyway. So either way, we're winning, and we just need to grow through it.
And he's kind of got to surrender to the process. Like you were saying, he's got to trust. And that is probably, can be one of the hardest things to do in a relationship with God. Because you can't see God. It's not like talking to you. Like, it's easy for me to trust you guys because I can see you and I can talk to you. But trusting something that, like, you feel God, obviously, and omnipresent and whatever, but it can be so hard trusting something that you don't see. But the more that you are investing into your relationship with God and reading His Word and being in worship and surrendering, like Pastor Joel said in his message today, surrendering your life. It's the biggest blessing.
It's a daily act too. Like, I know that when I would surrender, it's really funny. Every time I would surrender music, like, I'd lay it down and just be like, okay, God, you can have it. Like, because I'm striving, nothing's happening, so you can go after, and so then I'd put God first, and then I'd get like an opportunity like X Factor. And it's like on the journey I would get busy. So God would slowly start going into background. And then nothing would happen with it. And not that God didn't want anything to happen, but it's like I was still failing the test. Which is, if I give you the desire of your heart, are you going to be ready to still sacrifice it for me? God wants us to have all these things, but they're added to us when we seek the kingdom first. And what is the kingdom? It's everyone to know that Jesus Christ died for our sins, and that we can be clothed in His righteousness. That covers us from, like, all things. Even when bad things are happening, He can get you through them. And He really can. Like, I have personally felt it, that it's not just church, talk, like, where you hear about other people's trials and their sufferings and how they got through them and how God delivered them. Like, it's real. Like, you're going to go through stuff in your life because life is tricky and it can be hard. Whether that's from an outside source or, like I said, self-inflicted or a combination of both, because I've definitely had both. Like, he'll blow your mind. Don't put Him in the background because it's just not worth it. And that's, I mean, if you want to learn that the hard way, that's fine, because He's going to teach you anyway. So you can either learn, like, kind of give up control. But I think for me particularly, I was so hard-headed. I needed to be, how do I say this nicely so that no one's screwed?
No, say it mean.
I needed to be humbled and grounded, and not that I was arrogant, because arrogant can look different ways. Arrogance is thinking that you have all the answers or you can do it by yourself when you were never created to do it by yourself. That's arrogance. It doesn't have to be like, I'm the best in all the world, because that's not the arrogance I had. That's why I worked so hard, because I knew there was always going to be someone better. But what a thing to strive for if you're just always trying to be the best. What an empty place to be. And I've been there trying to be perfect. It's it sucks and it hurts you because you're never going to be perfect. You're
Yeah.
always going to fail. But that's part of the journey. Like, and the journey is beautiful, but it's better with God. It's more
100%.
beautiful and more graceful. He provides everything that you need. I wish I would have just known how to trust people, trust him more, not people,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
trust him more.
Yeah.
But I think I needed to learn. I needed to know God my own way. So that might be like the journey that a lot of the young adults are on right
Yeah.
now. But
Yeah.
For sure.
take it from me. You don't have to make it so hard on yourself. You can,
Sure.
yeah.
So in your story, especially throughout your 20s, you kind of talked about going from a place of emptiness and putting God on the back burner and that kind of thing to getting to the point where there was a lot of peace and God's presence was all over it and there was joy and you feel fulfilled and you feel at rest. I guess for the people listening and watching, how did you get to that point? Like what, you know what I mean? Not like a 3-step.
I don't think it's the answer everyone's gonna want,
That's
but I'll
fine.
give you the honest answer.
Sometimes the answer they don't
To
want is
trust
the one
in
they
God.
need.
Well, I hit rock bottom.
Right.
I wanted to file for divorce.
Wow.
I was severely in debt by 6 figures. I had nothing to show for my music career.
Yeah.
I had no musical opportunities. Those doors shut so fast, it made my head swim. Like literally everyone wanted to work with us. We were a new Capitol Records artist, and then no one would even respond to a text message. People weren't showing up to rights. It was like as fast as it happened, it ended even more abruptly. I was also like, I had moved back to a different country, and like, because I was in this hard place, I didn't really know how to communicate with Jordan, my husband. So I just shut off, and there was just no communication, because that's kind of how I handled stuff. When things got hard, I just put my head in the sand and la-di-da.
Wow. Yeah.
So I had to hit rock bottom, and I'd actually gone back to America, running away from all of my problems, as you do, back to my parents' house at, geez, how old was I? It wasn't very long ago, but I hit rock bottom, and God came to me and spoke to me directly, which sounds like really like woo, but I think it was because I was awake really late one night, and I could not sleep. And I don't think I slept for like years, like really slept, like rested. And God just asked me, what are you doing? Just like that, just nice and quietly gentle. What are you doing? And it wasn't like a, what are you doing? It was nice. He was just like, what are you doing? Are you like, what are you doing? And I remember like answering back and like, I don't know, but I'm just so tired. And I was just exhausted. I was at the end of everything. I had no career, less than negative money. Thought I wasn't going to have a relationship because I just thought that out of like, I basically took Jordan through all of that, and I just had a lot of guilt. And so I was just like, you know, you can just get out of jail free, right? And so I was running away, and and I just felt like I had made so many mistakes that how could you recover your life? Just you're gonna have to start over because you can't recover from this. This can never be turned around. But God spoke to me at like 3 a.m, and He took me on a journey of forgiveness, because that was kind of the root of everything, was some things that had happened, you know, at church, through people that I loved. I was wounded really bad and felt really confused, and had an interesting relationship with the church after that. But God He walked me through that forgiveness, and He really illuminated what it was and how He was going to use it. And I think I was at rock bottom, that I had no other choice but to surrender, because I just didn't have any energy. And I think He knew that. I think He knew that I'm a pretty high energy person, and I will work myself to the bone. And I usually have to get to rock bottom. So I think God knows our quirks and our characteristics, and I just walked through forgiveness with him, and he healed parts of my heart and restored things that I thought were so dead and broken that how in the heck could that ever be turned around and used for good? Like, you think sometimes, like, how could that ever be used for good? That's it, like, when pigs fly, but God can make pigs fly. Like, he made them fly several times. And I remember seeing it, like, I just submitted to the process. And I just walked through and I read this book and I started reading my Bible reluctantly. I threw these books, the Bible,
that's real,
across the room. You read,
look,
when you're going through something hard and you need deliverance, you will you'll throw some book. And like, I was angry. I think I was angry at God and I wouldn't even admit it to myself. And he knew that, and he knows, and he still loves us. And it's crazy. Like, I felt like I've had some really dark times, and thinking that he was still there with me and still loved me exactly the same as right now, and I'm being, faithful to him, but there's no change in his love, really blows my mind, because I would rate it. Like, if someone was like super awful to me, I'd be like, you were a crap person, but now you're good. Like, I love you more now because you're cool. Like, because you're like treating me well. Yeah. He's not like that.
Yeah.
We just don't know how to fathom that kind of love. And I think I have a hard time sometimes processing it. Like, I just have to let it like wash over me, because it doesn't make any sense. Because there's a lot of times we don't get shown that type of love here on earth, except coming to this church. And I think that's why I felt at home here. I haven't felt at home in a church in a really long time. And I remember the first time I visited, it just, like, I felt like I knew everyone for a really long time. Awesome. It was really weird. Yeah. And my mom had been bugging me for like months, like, you need to start going to church, you need to be, edified in the church body, it's good to be, and I was like, Mom, there's nowhere here, there's just like this little old Baptist church down the street, and it's all old people, and Mom's like, you need to go, and I'm like, I go online. She's like, that's not church. Yeah, and I do love old people, but you need to be surrounded by people who either are gonna grow you, like, and that you can do life with.
Yeah.
They're going to do the journey with you.
Yeah.
And old people are just at the end of the journey.
Yeah. So that's,
Hey, the road's not over yet. The journey's not over yet.
Yeah. It's true, but let's just say it as it is.
So yeah, that's that. I had to hit rock bottom and then surrender to the process of just being like, I was just so broken.
Yeah.
What else could I have done? I had nothing. I literally had nothing. Like, I was back at my parents' house. Yeah. With no money, no career. I couldn't fall back on my degree, my backup plan, my great invention of backup plan. Like, I felt ashamed to, like, out of it, all the stuff I had put Jordan and I through with that lawsuit, and I cost us so much money pursuing this dream and blah blah blah. Yeah. And I felt like a loser, and how could I face anyone? And God he can do all things, including bring something back to life that was so dead. Yeah. And it's like Christ's resurrection in your life, like manifested. I felt like he restored my whole life, and I have so much peace and joy because I don't deserve the life that I have. Yeah. That's not why he gives us things. We don't earn them. We'll never deserve it. He just loves us.
Awesome.
So
and it's like it doesn't make any sense, so just accept it. And he will use everything in your story, and he'll use it for good. He'll like, it's crazy what he does. Only he can do it. If anyone doesn't believe in God, it's because I feel like they need to see it like that, because only he can put the pieces back together and restore, mend relationships, help you walk through forgiveness, heal you, restore, marriages, and give you like your dream back.
Yeah.
But then you don't even care about the dream because it doesn't even matter. Like, what is singing?
Yeah.
It's cool, like, it's fully sick, but like, it ends.
Yeah.
The applause ends, and no one really cares.
Yeah.
Well, God,
Like, no one cares. Like, yeah.
God can do so much more with your dream in His hands than in yours, kind of thing.
And that's the journey I'm on right now. Is
Yeah.
I don't want to be out of His will a second longer. I don't know what it looks like. I'm not even scared. I just don't want to be out of it because it's just a crooked path. And He wants our path to be straight, and that's when we walk with Him.
Yeah.
He'll level the fields and the valleys and the mountains, and He'll make your path straight, and He orchestrates your steps. And you can tiptoe around that all you want, but it's going to be hard avoiding it. It's way better doing it with Him. You can be filled with joy and still have no idea what you're doing, but just you can rest in Him. He doesn't want you to strive. He has it. Give it to Him.
You mentioned you've surrendered your dream, but now you're here, Celebration Church. You're in the band. You're worship leading, and I think you're like a really anointed worship leader in what you like bring to the team and to church when we're back, but even online. But like, so even being on team and worship leading and allowing God to use you through your gift and through what you thought was your massive dream and in the world, but now it's getting used to expand God's kingdom in a way. How's that like been for you?
Well, I think one thing I've always known was the gift was His.
Yeah.
I think I've known that from a very early age growing up in church. I never felt like it was mine. I think your gift the view of it can be distorted by people and the world, and it can be used for things that were never intended for its use. But my voice, I always knew wasn't mine. But I felt like when that first thing happened with the church that, well, maybe I was supposed to do something else. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe my prophecy was wrong. I don't know. Like, I feel like if God wants to, I think that's why I went on coffee ministry when I was first here, because
you didn't.
I avoided the music for a while.
For real.
I just didn't. I just wanted to be, and that's probably me running away from stuff too. But God had to take me on that because I was. This is the first church I've been to since all that stuff has happened.
Yeah.
And that was like 8 years ago. It's a long time. So I haven't been in a church. I haven't had a church home in a long time. Like, I'd have places that I would frequent when I was in Nashville, or the odd place, or I did go back to my old church and lead worship for a period of time, and God used all of that to restore a lot of stuff. I just had I don't know, like it's His, and if He wants to use it, He can. My voice, that is, I've always been a good steward of it. Like, I put a lot of time into knowing my craft and being prepared and being ready. But I don't want to sing if He doesn't want to touch people through it. I think that's the point that I've gotten at now. Like, I just don't. I've done it. Like, I've sang Shallow, and it moved people, but did it change their state of salvation?
Yeah.
Are they going to go to heaven because I nailed Shallow on a TV show? No,
that is such a deep
It's-
thought, though.
It is, but that's where I've gotten to. I'm like, God, maybe this like walking cliche, but it's true. Like, people are either going to go to heaven or they're going to go to hell. And we can either play a part in that, or we can turn the other way and act ignorant. But I know too much now, and I can't act ignorant anymore.
Yeah, wow.
So if God wants to use me to lead worship, if I run a camera, if I just make coffees, just want to be in his will, whatever
Yeah.
that looks like. I know I'm supposed to be a tool that he can use, so I'm ready for that. I'm not going to put a label on myself, because my whole prayer for 2020 is your will be done, not my will. It's literally like it just kind of gets echoed in my journal. I don't want to have a will anymore. I don't want me in it, because I suck at doing stuff. Like, I can strive and it's just, it doesn't work. So his will, I just want to be in his will. I don't know what that looks like. I know something's coming. I can feel it. I can feel, and y'all have been talking about revival here at church and Pastor Benai and everything. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Something is shaking in its foundations.
100%.
And it's about to erupt, and I just don't want to miss it. So I don't know, like, I could be making coffee and drop a coffee on myself, and that'd be great. I think you have to, I think, you know, for my journey, is music my dream? No, it's just not. I don't want to get to end of my life and have to answer to God that I didn't, that I let people go to hell because I didn't say anything or didn't do something. And that's really deep. But
no, but it's real.
I just don't, my dream, what is my dream?
What a thought.
And I think that shows,
I don't know, like, it's just,
like, it's a very mature thought, and it's a very heartfelt thought, because it comes from the heart of God. Like, they're his people, we're his people.
yeah.
So, like, how dare I not do or say anything?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it says, we're the hands and feet of Jesus, and to therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them, all of that.
Yeah.
Therefore, go and be the
Okay,
hands and
preach,
feet.
Maddie.
Yeah.
My Bible college. No. So, like, it's that.
Yeah.
It's the heart of God.
Yeah.
And it's like when we do pray those dangerous prayers of God set me on fire, or
He
that
remembers.
one,
Needs me. Yeah.
break my heart for what breaks yours. Damn! Are you sure? There's been seasons where, like, especially like in the youth days, where we would just cry, like, break my heart for what breaks yours.
Ooh, that's like,
It's like you can't go on Saturday and just keep living your life the same way.
no.
Because if God meets you in that moment and shows you just like a glimpse of what his heart is for his people, damn, like you can't not do anything.
Yeah, and God's so cool that this is gonna sound like intense, but he'll break you
Yeah.
of your junk because you prayed those prayers.
Yeah.
Because he is an
Or you
answering God. He yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He won't forget. He'll run after you. That's why I think I love that Jim Johnson song where it's like your goodness is running after.
Yeah.
He'll run you down and be like, remember me? Grace,
I got
That one time you said that, I'm gonna do it now.
Hey,
Watch out.
I'm gonna catch you on that. Like,
Gal's Ranch.
I'm not an answering prayers, you know what I'm saying? But I think we all have to get to the point where we grow into maturity. And for me, I felt like it took 12 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
But, I really started praying these bold prayers, or really started going through life challenges at about 17 or 18. And I just felt like I was kicked in the teeth all the time. But that was the growing pains of like, man, I don't ever want to go through my 20s ever again. I was so excited to turn 30 last year because I was like, bye. It's been great. Thank you for teaching me so many things, but bye. Like, I just didn't, like, woo, my 20s, but I would not be the person that I am, so I am grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. So, it's a journey, it's a process, and God wants us to think beyond our selfish ambitions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's our
Think
dreams.
big.
They can get in the way. They can be idols.
Yeah.
I had a couple, 2 or 3.
Yeah. In saying that, it has been so good to have you on the show.
I think you've given us a lot to think about.
I
A
hope
lot to learn from.
Honestly,
For
like,
real.
just
Can you put
sharing,
that sound in?
we'll just use that one.
Edit that in.
Like,
Echo it.
just hearing your heart about like your love towards the Father. Like, even that's just like an incredible thing.
Yeah.
Just to hear that, besides even your life story, just like the way that you like talk about God and talk about His will and His love, just I don't know, it just shows that you have a really awesome, genuine connection with God, and that's powerful to sit and listen to. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I feel like I've taken away from like just the thought of how important it is to embrace the process and to realize that we are all on a journey.
Yeah.
And to be patient with yourself and be kind to yourself, but to also to not isolate yourself, but involve others, learn from others, and that way you can support each other and just grow together. And you know, like God's a good artist, like He writes good stories, kind of thing, and to just to not put Him on the back burner, but to be like, God, get involved. Use
it's
me,
so much better,
me.
Yeah,
100%.
break
me.
Again, dangerous prayer.
But it's good.
If you mean it, say it.
It's good, yeah.
Do it with people.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not in a connect group, get one. If you don't have a community around you, find people. Because
find some good people of God to...
and the people that aren't just going to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, and I was really fortunate that even though I didn't have a church family for a long time, my mom's a really strong woman of God.
And shout out to
my
moms.
sisters. Shout out to Mom.
Amazing.
Yeah,
well, we are recording on Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Happy Mother's Day.
And I think it was her prayers that covered my life. Like, that's... It all, you know... It all works together, and God's good, and I'm learning more about Him every day, and that's like kind of the cool thing, because He there's so many things about Him that are just like awesome. And
how good is God? Like the fact that He is so faithful and He's so patient with us.
So patient.
And He just takes us step by step, and He's there. He's chasing us down. He doesn't give up on us. He loves us like more than we deserve, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having
thanks.
us. Thanks for being Corona hugs.
Corona hugs.
Social distancing.
We are 1.5 guys, just for the record.
Yeah, we measured beforehand.
Yeah, so this table's so long.
Yeah.
Adulting tip number 4. Adulting tip number 4. I'm gonna give you all a singing tip because I am a vocal coach. It's my little side thing. Anyway, so in order to sing more effortlessly, you need to drop the jaw and think of a yawn. This allows the vocal cords to stretch so that you can hit a note clear. Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah,
Can
because what do you want me to sing? I don't even know.
Just drop the jaw.
Oh.
And
so the jaw, a lot of people think that they drop the jaw and they're like, oh, I'm dropping my jaw. You should be able to fit 3 fingers in. Now I'm thinking of a yawn the whole time to relax my throat. Tongue down. Base of your teeth. Yeah. Tongue down though. Tongue down.
I'll make this later.
Anyway, if you're struggling to hit some high notes, the 2 surefire ways to hit them are dropping the jaw and thinking of a yawn. It just eases the pressure and the tension. Yeah, so if you're trying to hit something high.
I feel like I go
like if you were to sing into the unknown, into the unknown, into the unknown. My mouth isn't open. Now let me open my mouth. Into the unknown. I can hit it more effortlessly. Yeah. But I gotta open the mouth. You try it.
with the mouth.
Okay.
Drop
Here we
the
go.
jaw.
And relax the throat and beyond.
Into the.
It's good. Hey, he didn't crack. Look.
Approval from Chynna Taylor is all I needed.
Think
I
beyond.
can quit
It helps.
this. I don't
It
have to
helps.
do this
I mean,
anymore.
if it's out of your range, you're gonna have to come see me for a one-on-one. But-
Yes.
Link in bio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Anyway.
Cool. All right, guys, that's all we have time for on today's podcast. Thank you for tuning into episode 3 of the Unleashed, Young Adults Unleashed podcast.
So make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe to our channel. We are uploading every Thursday night.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
6 p.m. Wait,
6:30.
6:30.
Yeah, but you can wait for 6
6
if you
starts.
are desperate. I've heard there's heaps of people that wait for 6 till 6:30.
Yeah, just like in front of the screen. It's like,
Yeah.
I would. This is a good one, y'all.
Yeah. So make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. We have something really, really exciting coming next podcast.
yeah.
We are
Just watch this space. I
Yeah,
don't
watch
think
this
we should
space,
tell
but I'm
them.
not gonna tell you so.
No. Just get keen. It's that good.
Get cane jelly beans. No?
Y'all's Ranch.
Y'all man.
Y'all's Ranch.
And thank you for Chynna for coming on.
Yeah,
we love
thank
you.
you
for having
Chynna.
me.
I think we should click you out.
Okay.
Let's click you out.
I'm gonna take my pizza though, right?
Yeah.
Take your pizza.
Yeah.
Take your
Alright,
pizza.
ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
1.
Bye guys. Love
See
you
you
all.
guys. See ya next time. I think we're done.